and welcome. My name is Leslie with Boho Yoga, and this is week 1, workout 2 of 8 weeks to strong and calm. Starting with our warm-up, we're going to do some foam rolling, then we'll do some dynamic stretching, and then we'll move into our main workout. There's a circuit in our main workout of 2 to 4 sets of 4 exercises. So depending on where you're at today, how much time you have, you can determine how many times you'd like to go through. And then with our finishers, same thing. It's a smaller set, 2 exercises, 2 to 4 sets. So depending on your fitness level today and the time that you have available, you can choose 2 to 4 sets. I'm going to start with foam rolling. In our first video, I showed you some options if you don't have a foam roller. So feel free to watch that and modify as you need. Starting with my quads, I'm going to take the foam roller onto the ground, kneel, bring my quads onto the roller, roll it back, forward. Nice. I can also take a moment to bend one knee and then the other. Then maybe roll to a different spot and do the same thing. That's something I can also do if I'm just using a rolled up blanket or a rolled up mat instead of a foam roller. As a way to activate the muscles that are being massaged upon. And I'm going to come over to one side. I'm not going to come all the way over. I'm just going where I feel that muscular tension. Just a little bit to the side without going all the way onto the IT band. And sometimes I really need to support myself here if my hips are tight. And then switch sides. This should not be super painful. It should feel like a self-massage. So if you're starting to tense up the muscles of the neck and the face, then back off a little bit. If you notice that one side is a lot tighter than the other, you can go back to that tighter side and roll through a little bit more. There we go. Then I'm going to come into my calves. I'm going to stack one leg over the other. If my calves are super tight, I might not lift my hips at all. I might just take a moment to rock the legs side to side. And in rolling the calves, you also have the option of rolling the ankles here, pointing and flexing the foot, which can move the muscles that we're targeting as well. So depending on how tight you are, you might lift the hips and roll through. And then switch sides. And if this is some of the first times that you've ever used a foam roller, it takes a little bit to get used to. It's a really good warm-up for like the upper body. It's a great way to check in with yourself and prepare for some larger movement. So I did my quads, I did my calves. Today I'm going to do my shins too. We're going to do some fast footwork later today. So making sure that the shins are loosened up can be really helpful. So I place my shin on the roller and I pull through. If I'm using a stationary object, then I can just roll back and forth and maybe point and flex the foot there. You can also do some self-massage with your hands on any parts of these bodies, on any part of the body here. Then we'll switch sides. Point and flex and draw some circles. Nice. Now I'm going to come onto my seat. Given the shape of the glutes, we're going to do one at a time. I'm going to roll the most superficial muscles to start with. So here we've got our glute max, gluteus maximus, which is a big muscle, so you can kind of roll the side, roll towards the middle. You can roll to the attachment points of the hamstrings. If your hamstrings are super tight, you can get them with the foam roller. Oftentimes I need a different tool to really get into the hamstrings, something like a ball can be nice getting in there. And we'll switch sides. So spending a good amount of time warming up the body is really important. Sometimes more important than the main part of the exercise. So, you know, ease your way in. And then switching sides, I'm going to cross that right ankle over the left thigh. And then there, I'm opening up that hip, opening up to expose some of the external rotators, or glute med or glute min. And then I'm going to switch sides. Then my favorite is the upper back. So I'm going to take the foam roller to my mid back, lie on it, lift my hips, and then watch your hair as you roll up and down. Back here. This is a kind of gentle way also to just get some movement into the knees to activate the muscles of the hips. There's some core engagement that's required for foam rolling. And then I'm gonna roll my lats. So coming softly towards my side, not like all the way onto my side. I'm gonna roll through the side of my body. So you'll know, you wanna feel like you're always rolling in muscle. You don't ever wanna feel like that, you know, you're putting a ton of pressure right on the bone. Bones have a lot of nerve endings. They don't feel very good. But there are kind of attachment points where we can be like right where the muscle is attaching to the bone, so our tendons there, and rolling right in that area can provide some relief. Like already there, whoa, I feel like I have way more movement on that side than I did a minute ago. Switch sides. Here, watch my hair, and then rolling through. I can feel there, like right at the base of my shoulder blade. It feels really good. Get some massage through there. So I feel like that arm is working real well. So then I'm done with the foam roller for now. Then I'm going to do a dynamic stretch for my chest. So I'm going to move in 3. So as I come into my chest stretch here, my elbow, the position of the elbow is going to change for your body. You want to target the muscles of the pec and right across the shoulder there. So about 90 degrees, maybe a little bit higher. And then moving with the breath, I'm going to rotate towards the wall. And then as I exhale, I'm going to rotate away, find a little bit of traction. I'm pushing my forearm against the wall and then rotating back in. And then roll out. 3, and then switch sides. Here, 3, rotating out, rotate towards the wall, away again, adjust my elbow a little bit, and that's 3. So I'm going to do that 3 times on each side. Going back to my first side. Sometimes I'll even exaggerate it by reaching that hand out. And that can feel good. This feels like my lever arm is a lot bigger. A door frame can be really nice for this. At 3, and then 1 more step. I might actually try today. You can straighten that arm, which gets a little bit more into the shoulder. into the chest. So 3, 2, 1. That'll be nice to have stretched out for our Arnold presses. 3, 2, and 1. All right. And there's one other thing that I really like to do when I have a foam roller. You can do this on the foam roller, or actually you can do this on the wall. I'll show you on the wall real quick. Wall. I call these Y's at the wall, just dropping the heart. You can stay there. The distance that the feet are away from the wall will determine how intense that stretch is for you. And then if you do have a foam roller, or even 2 yoga blocks, or two pots of the same size. So here, this is a nice chest and shoulder opener. I'm gonna point my thumbs up towards the sky, walk my hips back, drop my heart, drop my head. And I'm gonna take a breath. And then as I come up, I'm gonna add in some cat and cow. I like to add these in all that I do. Then I'm gonna make my way up to stand, getting there however you like. The last of our warm-up sets is gonna be the walking quad stretch. Oh, I lied, I've got 2. We're gonna do our semi-membranosus stretch. Your semi-membranosus is one of your hamstrings. We can step 1 foot forward, you lightly bend the knees. That same side hand is just gonna sweep across. You should feel a stretch right behind the knee there. And then switching sides. Let's do 6 on each side. 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to come into a dynamic quad stretch. I like to do this one walking if I can. I'm just going to use the length of my mat so you can still see me. If I have more space, I like to take a long walk, alternating feet and then turning around and coming back and doing the same thing. If you need to hold onto a wall or hold on to any other support, you can always have that handy for you. And then as best we can, you can also come onto the ground or use a strap if you need to grab the foot. But I'm gently kicking into my hand, I'm pulling back, and then I'm going to release. So for the walking one, we step forward and we switch legs, pull back. This hand can reach forward or it can rest down. Look up and out. Eventually, here. And then I'm going to turn. So about 30 seconds or about 10 on each side. All right, and then our first exercise in the main set is the Arnold press. Yes, named after Arnold Schwarzenegger. He developed this exercise technique of the shoulder press. So we'll utilize his technique. The exercise has us standing. However, if this feels like a lot for you, feel free to grab a chair or a bench, and you can easily do this exercise from a seated position as well. It takes a little bit less effort from the seated position. And we want to make sure that we have good range of motion here. So in our Arnold press, we're going to be trying to get one arm right alongside the ear. So if you've never done this before and you've got some shoulder stuff, I'm going to recommend that you do this with body weight. And then alternating arms is going to be a little bit easier than doing both arms at the same time. Okay? You can also add in just a little bit of weight, your cans of soup, your light weight here, or if you're pretty familiar with this exercise, then you can load yourself up as long as the weight that you're using doesn't cause any tension in the neck and the shoulders. And today we're going for 12 repetitions. So we will grab our weights. Got my weights here, and then I'll do my first set seated so you can see that a little bit easier. Nice. So in our Arnold press, and if when you reach your arm up over here, if you feel like you need some more mobility in the shoulders, feel free to take a moment to do some shoulder stretches, maybe a tricep stretch between sides, or even after each exercise. Okay, and then our Arnold press, you start and end in this bicep curl. My shoulders are under tension. If you're using a chair, you want to make sure that your back is really flat here. And then taking a deep breath in, I'm going to exhale and press and rotate my hands at the top. Inhale down, slow and controlled, and then exhale up to the top. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. You want to pick the weight that gives you a little bit of fatigue, but that doesn't cause you to lose your form. If you're not sure where your body is in space, you can take a little recording of yourself from the side and see it when you reach your hand up overhead. Is your arm over here, or is it right overhead? If the arm is way over here, or up in here, then I'm going to recommend that you either use really, really, really lightweight or just use body weight until we get a little bit more mobility for that press to be right over the shoulder. The next exercise that we have is the butt blaster. I think that's a hilarious name for this exercise. I call it the kickback. The lower your upper body is to the ground, the more challenging this exercise is going to be. So I'll show you variations from the top down. You can do this from a wall. The purpose of this exercise is to engage the hamstrings and the glute on one side of the body. So it's the butt blaster. You want to really feel like this is working right in the center of the butt, of the bottom. And from a wall, we want to transition our weight to one side, really feel ourselves stabilize through that standing leg, and then find an extension back here that is accessible. So driving through the heel is going to be key to this pose. And the body is going to probably, if your outer hips are tight, the body's going to want to take the leg out to the side instead of straight back. So you're thinking about lifting from the inner thigh back as much as you can. So from a wall, it would look like this. Kicking back, here, here, here. From a standing bent over position, so a little bit more challenging. You want to find that hinge. So I'm utilizing my core. Your hands can be maybe on a foam roller, they can be on a desk, on the back of a chair. And so here, picking up the pit of the belly, leaning over, but my shoulders are drawing back. Once again, I'm going to find that balance. I'm going to bend my knee and then exhale, hey, bench. And then I'm going to kick back right there. And scoot over so I don't kick the bench. Right there. Nice. And then we can come down even lower onto either a stool here or on onto blocks. It's nice to be on the forearms if possible. You can also do this from the hands. And then for our most challenging position, we'll come all the way down to the ground, the forearms on the ground, and you can see that my back is still as flat as I can get it. Then from whatever position you are choosing to be in, we'll go 12 repetitions. Try and keep your head looking forward, your shoulders drawing back, the belly button pulling gently in towards the spine, and then commence. Exhale, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switching sides. To make this even more challenging, if you want, you can also wrap a band around the thighs so that as you kick back, you've got a little extra resistance. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so that's our second exercise. Then we're going to our standing bent over tees. So the goal of this exercise is to engage the muscles of the mid-back. We can feel those in kind of our high row by bending the elbows out to the sides. So here is a little bit easier than the full T, which is the arms straight. So adding here. So if you want, one modification is just here in body weight, pulling into your high row instead of your T. You can do this from kneeling. Then for more intense, we can extend the hands back. Here, I like kneeling. I like feeling like I can push my knees into the ground. I feel my core engage from there. So I do that a lot in my yoga classes. For the bent over T, it requires a bit more core strength. So I'm going to take my body and hinge at the hips. So once again, we did our mid rows here the other day. We're going to come as flat as we feel comfortable. And then for the T, you can use just your body weight, taking the hands out to the sides and coming straight out. So I've got a line from my wrist to my elbow to my shoulders here, and then coming back down. Or if you'd like, you can add in some weight. Remember when you're picking up weight to use your hips, even if they're lightweight. Okay, so here, so if you are using weight, you're going to turn the palms towards the thighs, them down, and then 12. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. You don't need a ton of weight for those because they are quite challenging. And I said, you know, the goal of this is for the mid-back, but that's part of it. With the straight arms, we can really encourage a lot of this strength to come from our rear deltoid. So the back of the shoulder there, and a little bit of your lats. Oh, coming down. So That was our third exercise, the standing T. And next we have our sumo squat. So if you've never done a sumo squat before, feel free to place your hands on a table, using a foam roller, whatever you got, and then support yourself. So we've got a wide stance. This is like our goddess squat in yoga. A wide stance, about 45 degrees. My toes are pointed out. They're not pointed too far out. I don't want my knees to come in of my toes. I don't want my arches to drop. I want to arrange my feet, find that angle for you, where when I'm watching my knees, they're kind of tracking in line with the second or third toe. If I was to draw a line out there, they're not going over the toe. I'm sitting down, trying to keep the shins pretty vertical, and then driving up through the heels. So here we can do this with like zero weight, with just our body weight here. You want to keep the shoulders out of it, lowering down and pressing up. And you might do a few body weight just to warm up. Then if you want to add in weight, hips are really strong. So once you're familiar with this exercise, it's pretty easy to add on weight as we move along. If you are using weight, my favorite is to use one weight right in the center of the body. So if you have a dumbbell, you can hold on to the dumbbell just on one end, or maybe you have a kettlebell here. Or you can choose like an awkward weight to hold onto, which is really challenging and pretty fun. So choose your poison for today, and we'll do 12. So inhale to lower down, and then exhale, come up. You're squeezing the inner thighs towards each other, squeezing the butt at the top. Inhale to lower, exhale, 11. 10, you don't have to go all the way down. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. So that ends our first set of 4 exercises for the main part of our workout. Now I'm going to set a timer for my rest. I'm going to rest for a minute to a minute and a half. It's actually recommended that men have a little bit longer rest period on average than women because of larger muscle mass and that needing more time to recover. So during this recovery time, you can go ahead and grab some water. You can do some extra stretches if you'd like. So if you knew that the Arnold press, that you might want some more shoulder stretching, you can take a moment to do some dynamic stretches. I like keeping the stretches dynamic or moving, not holding for a super long time when I'm in the middle of my sessions, because I don't want the body to get too cold. I want to keep reminding myself that I am doing work. Good. Might take some quad stretches. So that's my timer for 1 minute. If you need longer, feel free to take it. And now we'll move on to our second set. So coming into the Arnold press, and then given the frame of the camera, I think I'm still gonna do this seated. But remember, you can do this standing. It's a little bit more challenging standing. As we come up overhead, you wanna make sure that the body isn't doing a big arch as you reach overhead. So keeping the ribs dropped is really important when we're standing, rooting through the legs like in Tadasana. And then grab your weight. So once again, I'm going to start seated. So our Arnold press starts in a bicep curl. My forearms are pretty parallel to each other. And just holding it here is quite some core work. Drawing the shoulders right over the hips, the head right on top of the spine. Taking a deep breath in, and then exhale and press. Remember that you can alternate arms if you would like to make this just a little bit easier for yourself too. 3, 4, keeping the neck and face relaxed. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Nice. Next we have a butt blaster. So I'm gonna take my position. Here. Engage your core. Find space through the chest by drawing the shoulders back and down. If the forearms are on the ground or on blocks or any other surface, really push the forearms down. Use that to help engage the muscles of the back. And then decide which leg you want to work on. So also notice if your body is shifting really far to one side or the other as you do this. Do your best to press strong into both arms, keeping the hips pretty neutral as we find extension here. So, 12, 11, 10. You can also hold this at the top to make it more challenging for yourself. 6. I lost count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 4. And if you ever lose count, which is gonna happen, go until you feel that fatigue, until you feel like, okay, this is about where I can end before I start to lose my form. That's another really good way to do it. I think that sometimes we rely too much on, I'm telling you to do 12, so I need to do 12. We're asymmetrical beings. Feel free to adjust these numbers so that they match where you're at today. And if one side's a lot weaker than the other, feel free to add in a couple extra repetitions or even an extra set on one side to help build up that strength. Coming to our second side. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So making our way up to stand. And then our standing T. Finding your variation. I'm using 8 pounds today, and 8 pounds is challenging for me. So know that, like, with the arms straight, that because that longer lever arm, it takes a lot more effort and energy, and we're able to isolate the shoulder more than we are using the mid-back, which is a smaller muscle group area. So if that's too challenging, you can substitute it with that high row with the elbow bent. Okay? Here, pick your poison, assume your position, and T. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, use your hips to lift and lower weight. Nice, coming into our sumo squat. Choose your variation. Feel free to use support. Heart lifted. Inhale. Exhale. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. Squeezing your glutes at the top. 3. 2. Inner thighs squeezing. And 1. Good. If you need to make this more challenging, you can always pause at the bottom and then come back. So changing that tempo can change the difficulty of the exercises as well. All right. So that was our second set. And if you would like to continue on with a third or fourth set here, then I'm going to let you pause this video. You can rewind and watch it with me, or you can continue those sets on your own and just get in your body and really feel how it's feeling for you. Our finishers, we've got 2 exercises. The first one is around the world, and the next one is plank jacks. So each of these exercises are 30 seconds each, and we're going to cycle through them. As fast as you can cycle through them, the more cardiovascular benefit you're going to get out of it. But form is probably more important, is more important. So take your time to figure out like how your body wants to maneuver around these things. And then once your body kind of figures that out, then start to add in more speed for yourself. For around the world, my favorite way to do this exercise is with a ball. I've got a weight ball here, which is kind of cheating because with a weight ball, it doesn't really move around, which is nice. You can also use really anything. I've used really anything. Yoga block works great. You can also just take just like a spot on the ground, and you're gonna imagine that that is an elevated circular something. Then, once you decide what you want to use, or around the world, you want to make sure that you clear a nice path all the way around the ball. So I'm going to take a moment to move my weights out of the way. Remember, load the hips as you move weight. Most people get injured when doing weights, just when they're trying to pick up the weight or trying to put the weight down after the exercise. Because if we're extending here, oftentimes we end up pulling here. So use those strong hips that you have to help you to move weight. Okay. I'm gonna move this, and I'm even gonna move my bench. All right, so I'm gonna demonstrate first before I set the timer around the world. So the version we're gonna do today, there's several different variations of this. The one we're gonna do today, we're gonna have 1 foot on the ball, and then we're gonna switch and put the other foot on the ball. So you might need to tilt forward just a little bit to control this movement so that it doesn't all come from the knees and the quads. And then we'll start in one direction, and we'll go around for 30 seconds. Then I want you to switch direction and continue for another 30 seconds. So a minute total, and then we'll move on to our plank jacks. I might as well just show you the plank jack variation so we can kind of move between those as quickly as you'd like. So our plank jacks, you can do these from the wall. Again, the lower we bring the upper body, the more challenging the exercise is going to be. So for our plank jacks, you can do basically a plank at the wall. You want to angle yourself so that you've got a long plank line. And then here, you could step 1 foot and then the other. Pushing into the hands, lifting the heart, looking up. Try not to look at the feet while they're doing that. The other option is hopping the feet. So here, hop, 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 hop. Trying to pick up the pit of the belly and utilize that. And then the lower that we take the body, if I'm going to use a bench, a desk, we can take the hands here, coming into our plank, hopping in or stepping out, trying to maintain that plank. If it bothers the hands, you can also do this on the forearms. So coming here and then hopping or stepping. Stepping is still challenging, and 30 seconds is a long time. So find where you need, and as we go through the various sets, if you're finding that the body's starting to fatigue or the body's starting to get it, you can either up your challenge as we continue with the sets, or you can decrease it if your body is like, nope, okay, I'm done now. So those are your options for your around the world and your plank jacks. Yeah, so I guess around the world, if you choose to just step, you're gonna step around the block like this, around the ball. So I'm trying to find this gentle hop, and I've got the ball in front of me. So it's different than having the ball with like right underneath me. I'm having the ball in front of me for this variation. Trying to move around the world in one direction. And then as you get that, then you can start to go faster, faster. Cool? Let's go. So I've got my timer set for 30 seconds. It's gonna ring, and then I'm gonna wanna go in the other direction. So I'm gonna put it somewhere where it's really easy for me to stop the timer and start it again. Ready, set, and go. 30 seconds, around the world. One direction. Like a bunny. We got 10 more seconds. I'm remembering which direction I'm going. Going that way. So now I'm going to reset the timer and go the other direction. And it will always seem like one direction is easier than the other. We have a dominant side. Five more seconds. And cool. I'm going to keep my 30 seconds on the timer as I come into my plank jacks. Choosing your variation. I want to make sure that I give myself enough space to hop my legs out if that's what I'm choosing to do. So here, coming down. Coming into my plank, 30 seconds, and go. Twenty more seconds. 15 seconds. Nice. The higher the hips are, the easier it is. It's challenging to keep the hips pretty low here. 5. And time. Woo. High five. And then if you need a break, go ahead and take it. And then when you're ready for second round, second set, our next minute and a half, 3, 2, 1, and go. Round the world. 2, 2, 2. Feeling light as a feather. Maybe not so much in the moment, but after. Continue in the same direction. 10 more seconds. 5. Done. Good. Second direction. Go. When you can, keep your chest up. Try and look up and out. Sometimes it's hard. You lose your ball, but we're doing our best. 10 more seconds. 'Done. All right, moving that. Plank jacks, 30 seconds, second set. Whew. 3, 2, 1, and go. Halfway, 15 more seconds. 5. 5. High five. Woo. So that's the end of our second set. If you want to do a third or a fourth round of these finishers, feel free to do so now. You can press pause, or you can rewind and do them again with me. For now, I'm going to move on to our cool down. Identifying what areas of the body that we worked today, those are the areas of the body that we want to try and stretch. So I'm going to think about back of the shoulder there. And I'm going to do the same stretch that I showed you at the very beginning of class for our more dynamic warm up. And then I'm going to hold this a little bit longer in my cool down. So finding a nice chest stretch. Remember, you can do this at the wall. You can place a block or a blanket underneath the head if you feel like you want to rest a little bit higher. 5 breaths. Feel the heart rate go from fast to slower and slower. Then we worked our shoulders, worked our chest. Oh, we worked our butt. So we're gonna come into our glute stretch here. You can choose figure 4, or you can choose any other effective glute stretch that works for you. Maybe you're here. We've done this one in the last class. If you feel like you want something different, you can always try pigeon on the belly or double pigeon here. Or a fire log pose. Telling my body what a good job it did. I take the time in my cool downs to walk my mind through the exercises and movements that we just completed. And then that's going to help me figure out, like, where am I tight? Where do I need to add in some mobility, some length at the end of my practice? And for you, even though some of these exercises were intended to target certain areas, if that's not where you were feeling it, then address your cool down for the areas that you feel like you worked. For example, if in your tees you felt it more in your back, then please take a moment to do like child's pose or down dog at the wall. And take a moment to breathe into your back. Visualizing the areas that we want to produce more space and ease. And then in our glute stretch, we're going to take a moment to switch sides. I really like, before I switch sides, to just drop the legs side to side, just get some movement in my hips for a moment. Feel the legs. And then switching sides. So figure 4, you can do a seated figure 4. You might just hold in here. Wherever you feel like you need to position the body to get a stretch through the outer and upper glute area. Notice the after effect of your session. And oftentimes we run from our workouts like right into the next thing. And I'd rather you reduce the number of sets that you're doing, reduce the number of total exercises that you're doing, to give yourself time in the cool downs, to really let the body go from increasing our heart rate, moving into that sympathetic system, into like calming down and coming into our parasympathetic system. Training the body how to switch between the two is such an important neurological exercise that we can do for ourselves that will really help us in times of physiological stress and anxiety. I'm going to switch out of this. Shake out my legs. Yeah, because the nervous system doesn't know if the threat is in the mind or if it's in the body, and so the body responds in the exact same way. So we can utilize exercise, we can utilize getting our heart rate up and challenging ourselves to really create this this mental strength for us in times that we're dealing with trying to calm ourselves down. Our body will be like, oh, I'm remembering how to do this. I can do this. We're gonna lie on our back for a moment, hugging the knees into the chest. So this is our lying child's pose. And you can have the knees narrow for more of a low back stretch, or you can take the knees wide. If there are any other finishing stretches that you need, feel free to take it. But I'm going to encourage you in our time together to, even if you don't get to do all of your finishing stretches, to take time for Shavasana. Just take time to lie on the back for at least a full minute. Ideally, like 5+, but at least a minute. And just let the body be held by the earth beneath you. And feel the weight of the brain and the eyes, relax the jaw. And without controlling the breath, just watch the breath rise and fall. Here we can practice the art of letting go. And then we can ask ourselves in our kind of personal checklist for the yamas this week, was I kind to myself in my session today? Was I truthful in where I was at today? Parigraha, Brahmacharya, Astya, Satya, and Ahimsa. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, and here we can go through our yamas checklist. We can see if we have been practicing our ahimsa, our non-violence, in whatever way that might show up for us in our practice, in our relations with our surroundings. taking care of the equipment that we're using, honoring the origins. Are we practicing satya, or truthfulness within ourselves? Are we meeting ourselves honestly where we're at? And if not, can we compassionately examine the cause, the reason? Astya, or non-stealing? Are we really making time for ourselves? Astya, non-stealing? Are we honestly making time for ourselves? Are we stealing future gains for ourselves by pushing ourselves too much or not pushing ourselves enough? Or brahmacharya, withdrawing from our brahmacharya. Are we taking time to avoid excess? Finding our happy medium and really analyzing what is our needs versus our wants. And aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Can we be in each session, in each class, in each moment, without expectation of the results? Can I continue to do this work even if the goals that I had set out don't end up being fulfilled? Can I see each moment here as being beneficial in and of itself, as a way to explore the relationships that we have with our environment and with ourselves through the physical body. And then when you've given yourself plenty of time here, you can take a full body stretch, reaching the hands up and overhead. And slowly draw the knees in. Feel free to take your time in your transitions. And then as you're ready, I'll come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment. Thank yourself for making it to your practice today. May the benefits of this time follow with you into all areas of your life. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great day, friends. Bye.